Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Hello, and welcome to another episode here at Nerdherder. I'm J-Dub. This is
I am Boop, yes.
the bigger, balder Boop.
I've been bald my whole life, baby. It's been a wig.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Woof, woof.
Stop holding my head like a basketball, why don't
This is
you?
a visual gag on a slightly audio. I don't know.
Listen, man.
It seems like we have equal crowds on both sides. So at some point, we're going to have the video watchers and the audio listeners fight to the death for the format we should take.
We are
as
both
a podcast.
wearing very cool shirts. You're gonna have to tune into the live podcast to see them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we pay attention. We also have Rancor of the Francor variety present.
Sure, he's having a little snack.
He is, and so all the things you miss if you don't tune in live. But we are grateful for those who do like the lovely Brennan Marr here.
What's
real
up, Brennan?
Quick. I want to shout out Brennan because they actually make their own stuff. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but they make great little bite-sized episodes. And so if you're looking for something else, maybe you already listen to so many pods, how can I possibly fit another one in? Brennan's got you covered with some great bite-sized and well-thought little pods there. So check that out. Check out Page Turner's a variety of stuff. So
Jared in here? Who's let him in
speaking
here?
of podcasts, welcome to ours, where today we are talking about the 2003 Clone Wars series. And
Yes.
I remember a time when you didn't have to say which one. You didn't have to date your Clone Wars. You could just say Clone Wars because there was only one. But now we have to quantify. We were talking about the OG, the vintage, the original.
You have to enunciate. We're talking about the OG, not the OG.
OG.
Stop getting excited. I
say,
see you in the studio.
We actually haven't covered much of Ochi.
Is he really worth covering?
Well, he will be if you ask one of our guests. Which, speaking of, let's get them in here. But first, to pull a bomb bag.
You want to turn the channel? Go ahead, fool. Turn the channel. If you want to learn something about God, shut your mouth and listen to me for a minute.
If you want to learn something about
you know who I am?
Shut your mouth and listen for a minute. What, Eli? What?
Oh.
I was doing the clip they play on Bob at. Do you know who I am?
Wait.
I don't even know who that guy is.
I don't know. Oh, but welcome to the show. The lovely Conor, the One-Eyed Knight, and Eli.
Just Eli. That's it. Like Cher.
Right. You just need one. Welcome back to the show.
Don't I know about that one?
Eli is also with one eye, so you know.
Combined, there are 6 eyes on the screen. Yeah.
Wow.
Eli can count.
Good
that's
job,
good to
know.
Wait, Eli, how do you?
College is paying off.
What?
Is there a joke of? Is this a bit of missing?
Functioning eyes.
No, I know that, but like Eli said,
one eye in my name.
Yes.
One eye in my name. Then there's you, one eye, and then there's 4 eyes.
Yes, exactly. There you go, buddy.
Okay, cool.
It's not.
I thought like actually something happened.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, right. No, it's time to break the news. Eli lost one. No, just
Yeah. This is a prosthetic, actually.
This is why we don't play frisbee at college anymore.
That's exactly the truth. Yeah, that is 100% the truth. Yeah.
Thank you both for jumping in on this episode. Eli, you were very excited about this, and Conor, you came late to the game, but with your own zeal, and so that's exciting. Yep.
Neat.
So, with thinking back, because we were set to do, I think, this kind of anniversary episode for 2003 last year. It didn't happen for whatever reason. There's always times where we schedule things and life happens, but happening this year.
It's the way of things.
That such is the way. So now we're sitting on 19 years of Clone Wars, this micro series, which is crazy to believe. It also
there's also something crazy to believe once we get to it about this show.
Yeah, right.
What? Yes. But I do have to say I have to nitpick Disney real quick. Okay, I know I'm a shill. All right, I know. Don't take my shill check away.
I was gonna say you don't want to risk sponsorship
right
for all the $0 you're making from Disney. Yeah.
2003 Clone Wars series is better than.
No.
That's my next project.
No, we're not going to start that controversy.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Whoever that may be.
We were talking off camera before we started, which, by the way, was why we were late, because we basically just could not wait to talk about the Clone Wars, apparently.
We're actual friends. Get over it.
Right. Disney hasn't always had it available. You can now watch it on Disney Plus, and that is awesome because, like we were talking about, thanks to YouTube, it's been preserved and whatnot. But when Disney Plus added it, they added it under the vintage banner. Alongside Ewoks and the Wookiee short, Star Wars droids, things that are actually vintage. But I have to say, to be vintage, you have to be 20 years or older.
We are vintage.
So they actually prematurely labeled it as vintage. Okay, so we're not that old, but it's weird to be. It's weird to have a podcast. It's weird people listen to this. It's weird that this thing happens, but it's also just weird talking about a thing I remember as a kid experiencing new. Like I was a kid watching these on Cartoon Network originally, and,
so
and it's
by
like
your logic, John, I'm vintage.
You are vintage.
It makes a lot of sense actually.
There's only one on the screen that is not vintage.
Yes, the upper half of the screen is vintage.
Yep.
And the lower half is only a few years away from being vintage.
Yes,
very true.
Much like the Clone Wars. So Disney, whatever you need to do, just put it in the almost vintage category alongside Eli.
Just pre-vintage category, yeah. I was actually just looking to see when In a Galaxy covered these, and I realized now, this is hilarious. If we had waited not 6 months to cover Star Wars Clone Wars on In a Galaxy, it would have been on Disney Plus for us to cover. It was 6 months before. It was hilarious.
I think we had something like that where it was the same thing where it's like we ended up having to buy something that ended up on some streaming service and they still haven't taken it off. And it's just like, seriously,
was it Phantasm?
Now we own. It might have been. Now we own that.
Yeah, we got the Steelbook.
It's like, okay, but
actually, there's a similar story with that for In a Galaxy. I don't know if all you know that deleted arc from it was going to be season 7 of the Clone Wars, Crystal Crisis. Yeah. So this is behind the scenes. I don't think I've ever said this before. Maybe I said it on the episode, but I actually bought a DVD of Clone Wars season 6 because I was told it had the unfinished footage, the reels on it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out
it does not.
It didn't.
Hey,
so I have the files on my computer. I went to somewhere, I forget. I think it was some Reddit thread that had them.
Yeah.
Eli.
Yeah. And by the way, Lucasfilm, no, I don't have them.
Yo ho ho, Pirate's Life.
Yeah.
You can't prove it. You can't prove it.
I can't prove. Yeah, they were never here.
It's not illegal if I didn't get caught.
That is some logic.
If it's not in the archives, it doesn't exist.
Speaking of
that's what Tales of the Jedi taught us. Yeah.
Eli, at one point when this was when 2003 Clone Wars was happening, at one point you did not exist.
This is very true. Yes, this is very true. At one point when this is happening, I did not exist. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's weird.
What was the episode? What was the
this
episode
still freaks me out.
That premiered when you were born?
The episode that premiered when I was born was Chapter 9.
Insane. That is insane. So, everyone at home watching, listening to this, every time you watch Chapter 9 now, you know someone born when that chapter was originally airing. That makes me feel old.
You may say that I only have one joke, Eli, but it's still true.
It's a good one, you know.
It's apt.
So I will say that there's another Star Wars anniversary actually thing that happened on my birthday that I realized a few years ago, which is I think it was the PC release of Knights of the Old Republic 1.
Oh wow!
Also was the day I was born. And like I remember having like the experiences like both playing KOTOR 1 for the first time and watching Gendy Clone Wars for the first time. Like I was like just born when this came out. That's weird.
You're so little.
Yeah, it freaks me out. It freaks me out a lot, honestly. Like
Boop
this
and
kid
I-
was
This is why
in the midst of 2003 Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
I will just say this. This is why we had quick plug for a second on Star Wars and Galaxy. We just released an episode with Father Son Galaxy.
Nice.
One of the main reasons we did that, one reason we did that is so I could finally stop doing the young jokes because Keith is like 10 years younger than me. And
there you go. You got to be older.
and somehow that kid has more brain power than this entire StreamYard.
That doesn't surprise me.
For sure.
He's a smarty pants.
For sure. That kid's
got a future.
Just watch his dang Andor interviews.
Oh, yes.
And his dad is there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His dad is fantastic.
That podcast is just fun. And also a father is there too.
So
you can't relate, can you?
No, because I don't have a dad. But it's a great segue into starting off with. I want to hit some major highlights with the series, but
daddy issues.
Yeah, apparently. Yes. You're no Qui-Gon Jinn. But reminiscing, because some of us were there originally, some of us weren't, but Eli, since we've already pointed it out glaringly that clearly, I mean, unless you were watching them in the hospital, you experienced these later. How much later and when did you come across watching these?
So I'd seen clips of them probably as early as like when I was coming into the Star Wars fandom, which was around the time, well, like right before Force Awakens. But the first time I watched them all the way through was for In a Galaxy, and our episodes came out. The 2 episodes we did, was it the 2 episodes? I think it might have been the 2 episodes we did. We did 3 episodes. That's a lie. We did 3 episodes. And they were about 2 years ago as of now. So it was probably like 2 years, 2 months ago, 2 years, 3 months ago, something like that. That's the first time I watched them all the way through. And those episodes of In a Galaxy, again, were like some of my favorite ones to do because I was going in so blind. I didn't know like everything I was doing. Yeah. You make the jokes and then you realize you make the jokes. It's all part of a greater vision. Anyway, so
Conor.
But I just remember like we'll get into this, but this miniseries is so insane in so many ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And like it's one of those things where even experiencing it like circa 2015, like it's still something that's such a time capsule and yet also so like it does fit. I feel like it fits. And if you're like getting excited for the coming new Star Wars, or if you're just like, hey, there's nothing currently happening right now because they're canceling Clone Wars. Oh no, there's another one. It's really cool to kind of eat this up because it's super digestible too. Like it's one of those things where it's like if you do chapter by chapter, or if you just want to do a volume by volume, either way, like it's not as much as a full film or a marathon of episodes, but it's also not necessarily like a tease of content. It's not so small that it doesn't satiate things. And so it's really interesting to hear you experience it later and yet still have what sounds like a very similar reaction to me when it first aired. I assume Boop and Conor, same for you, of when this first happened, like, oh my gosh,
this is dope as heck.
Yeah.
How old were you when it came out?
I was 9.
Which means that I was 8. Yes.
So there you go. I specifically remember being a kid watching this at my grandma's house, and back when like it was just on the Cartoon Network channel. So these were bumpers. These weren't full episode things. These were little bumpers in between episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Watch it while you're waiting for Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, that's how I saw it the first time, was in between another show, and then all of a sudden I'm like, holy cow, I just saw a Star Wars, you know, and waiting excitedly for the next time it comes around and whatnot. So, yeah, I was still a kid, and, you know, this was prime time in between the release of films to do something, because it's just like Attack of the Clones was exciting, but like this kept it exciting. This kept that era exciting, you know, really hyping up, leading into Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Connor?
I grew up with it via DVDs, and not even like the full series, just volume 1. Like,
the archive was incomplete.
The archive was indeed incomplete, because I remember watching the whole start to end of volume 1, which was what's the first planet that they faced Dirge on?
Munilist.
Yeah,
One by
Munilist to Hypori, like that whole section.
Yeah,
that's all I really remember of 2003 Clone Wars when I grew up. So like, I didn't know there was a volume 2. No. Either I didn't know, or I just always forgot to like follow up on what happens after Hypori, because all I knew at that point when volume 1 ends, you know, all the Jedi are injured or dead, and General Grievous is like doing General Grievous stuff at this point in the timeline. At least in 2003 General Grievous canon.
Right.
I was like, what the hell happens? And then I think I do remember, I'm not even going to speculate, because I really don't remember when I first watched volume 2, but I remember the first time I remember watching it was in like college. Because I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, like Shakti trying to, you know, save Chancellor Palpatine, the Hypori stuff with the clone commandos coming in, and just the little things in between that. But most of my memories were just like the one Munilist is like the biggest memory I have with 2003 Clone Wars, because it was just like a silent film for the first.
Yeah, that was
20 minutes of it with the clones just doing their hand signals and everything. I was like, this shit is incredible. Like, as a kid who grew up with military history, this was my jam.
Yeah, this really felt like the first war in Star Wars. You know? Yeah.
And so I just thought it was really cool. I never got like, I remember, I don't think I ever got the correlation of Ventress in 2003 Clone Wars and then Ventress in like the 08 Clone Wars. Because like, I remember when she fell off the temple steps on Yavin. I was like, oh, she dead. She's dead.
It's no way hinted at. Yes.
Yeah, it's like she's definitely dead.
Except for the like dozens of Legends comics that retconned that, but whatever.
Oh, for sure. Because they weren't letting that one go.
Who cares?
Nah.
They weren't letting that Golden Goose go. I mean, Dirge came back. Everybody came back.
Well, Dirge you can't Dirge is one of the hardest characters in the Star Wars universe to kill.
For sure.
And they even show him like there's that fantastic and one of my favorite parts of this, chapter 8, where Obi-Wan stabs him through the gut with his lightsaber.
Oh, and he just
stands there and laughs.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
You could tell he's been there before.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. And Dirge is absolutely my favorite character in this thing.
Well, so before we get deep down the rabbit hole of favorite moments, we're definitely getting there, I think. But Boop, for you,
Yes, dear.
have you seen this or all of this before we started dating?
Not all of it. I was a Cartoon Network kid, so I watched a lot of Cartoon Network, obviously. So I remember seeing bits and pieces of this show growing up. Honestly, I kind of thought that it was part of Samurai Jack at first, but then realizing later, that's Star Wars. Missed the first part of that. But yeah, I didn't watch it in full until we started dating, and you were like, if we're gonna be serious about this, you're gonna have to watch this. And I was like, all right, may as well.
I mean,
it's hard work finding another boyfriend. So I'm like,
wow, thank you for settling.
Wow.
But and you know, I want to be like, no, it wasn't like, but like really,
no, it was like that.
Like I you know, it's one of those things where it's like, if you love this thing, it's like you've got to either love it too or tolerate it, because this is coming with me.
This is the future.
Like and that's just in general. If you ever want to be friends with me, Star Wars is in the relationship.
Yeah.
Just
gonna
if you like it or not, prepare yourself.
Well, like, I'm surprised that you stayed with me when you found out that at first, I'm going to go and preface this, for a long time, this has changed now, I had negative opinions of the Phantom Menace.
Well,
I'm surprised that you stayed with me until I got better.
Yeah, well, but like, and like we've talked through that as well, of where it's just like I've always really liked the Phantom Menace, but I've never really
I mean, no one can like that movie more than Scotty J-Ro.
That's just the truth.
True. He would shove it in his body if he could.
Although, and again, I'm not trying to compare anything, but I will say for the longest time, when I was like a new Star Wars fan, that was my favorite Star Wars movie. It's not anymore, but it's. I mean, I still love it. It's still my favorite of the prequels. Dude bros come at me because it's not Revenge of the Sith. Oh well.
Oh well.
But like, it was one of those things
where
like
the Sith video game is really baller though.
Yes,
amazing.
I need that on the PS5 now, because my PS2 I think is done. I think it's cooked.
I at one point I got really excited because I like heard tell that it was like on Xbox, and I looked and I couldn't find it. It's like, dadgummit. But I have so many fond memories, because that's actually from 2004. I think it came out just a bit before the movie.
It came out like April 2005.
Oh, April. Okay.
Spoiled the entire thing.
Yeah, and
because they didn't learn anything from Qui-Gon's noble end.
Right.
No, they didn't.
Because I remember
they went and made it worse.
Yeah, I remember having that going into Revenge of the Sith, and I remember how like exciting it was, because Matt Lucas, who played Anakin in the 2003 series, played Anakin in the game. And I thought that was so cool, because it was like, for me as a kid, you know, in between the bookends of Hayden Christensen, Matt Lucas was Anakin, right?
Now it's Matt Latner.
You know, and now it's Matt Latner. And
Matt's
so
really good at playing Anakin Skywalker, man. What can I say?
They make good whiny boys, but
1 T, 2 T's doesn't matter.
No,
but
not a single one.
Yeah, no, like with the Phantom Menace, like, back to that thought real quick.
Oh,
like,
yes, circle back.
I didn't loudly like that movie for a long time, because it was always one of those things where it's like, this had always been really special, because this was the first Star Wars that was mine as a kid to go see and experience and all that. But it was one of those things where, and this was pre-internet, so it was like live bullying of just like, no, this movie sucked, because my dad said so, and he was there in 77, and blah, 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 blah. And also, you don't have a dad, so you don't get an opinion. It was just a lot, like, it was just a lot of garbage.
Wow.
So, it was not cool or fun to like that movie. It wasn't cool to like Star Wars until Clone Wars. And so it was one of those things where it's just like, all right, I'm going to love really hard on Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith and these things, because that seems to be what doesn't get me offended. And so, you know, coming back around and largely because of this podcast, and that's why we preach so much of like, love what you love, like regardless, because you'll find your people.
And if you don't love it, give it another shot. Like
the Phantom Menace is my favorite Star Wars. And it's not because it's definitively better than anything. Like it's not because it's better than Revenge of the Sith or Rise of Skywalker or any of it. It's just that it's my favorite. Right, or Andor.
Exactly. It means a lot to you.
But Andor is better than everything.
It's true.
Twitter
I've heard that opinion being stated. I don't know what that's about, but like, yeah.
It's weird.
It's really strange. Like, really, like, whoever does that, like, it's fandom menace behavior is what's happening right now.
I have a theory that it's actually Pong Crawl stands.
Are we being?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
that tracks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's some Pong Krell behavior. But
2003.
So what a
year.
That's your preachy moment. Love what you love.
I don't remember anything from 2003.
Oh my gosh, I remember like so many specific things. We were talking in Discord, not talking, like you said some things, Eldon said some things, I said some things. It was more of the just we're putting things in Discord, but like you talked about things that were meaningful to you because they were an escape and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't tell you like everything. Like I don't recall every moment, but I can recall the moments that have to do with things I love, like Star Wars, like Transformers, like Gundam, like Dragon Ball. Like I can, like those things have latched themselves to my mind and my heart through memories so much. And like this series is hella nostalgic for me because of that.
Absolutely.
Like remembering, hunting down the Clone Wars figures because like they were repacking Attack of the Clones figures that didn't sell well, slapping some new stuff on them and putting on the Clone Wars logo. And it's like, boom, there you go. You want a Yoda with Kybuck? There you go. You want a red clone trooper? There you go. Like, it was
Fordo?
Such a time to be a fan. It was really, like we were talking about before, it was just like, it was really cool. It just felt like this big hype train. Because Attack of the Clones actually.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Attack of the Clones, episode 2 was so bombastic, and it felt like because of this series, they kept it going into 2005 with the big finale of Revenge of the Sith and everything. So it's like 3 solid years of awesomeness, largely because of the connectivity of Clone Wars, and that creates some epic nostalgia. So speaking of favorite moments, we've already brought up the early moments of Munilist with the ARC troopers and whatnot, which all hail like Gindi and the team for like the litmus test of what an ARC trooper is, because I feel like we still mimic that today with like Clone Wars and Bad Batch and all of that. Like
absolutely.
Things they did in this series still have ripple effects in
ARC troopers evolved into commandos, which were seen in Republic Commando game, which were then seen in the Clone Wars.
I still never played that. I still need.
I haven't either.
It's really if you like first person shooters, it's really really good. It's not the best Star Wars game, but it's a really really good first person shooter game.
I was just realizing something though. This is interesting when you're mentioning the Kybuck, John. I looked it up.
Tales of the Jedi.
That's what I was going to say. The first appearance of the Kybuck in Legends was in Star Wars Clone Wars. And the first appearance in canon was just seen in Tales of the Jedi.
Really? I didn't know it made an appearance. Was that in the Ahsoka episodes?
Yeah, it was in the first one.
The thing that Pavti, Ahsoka's mother, shot. That's a Kybuck.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh,
dude, I still can't get over the fact that like Pavti, just as she's walking out, she's just like, oh yeah, no, she doesn't say I forgot something, but like she leans into the door and grabs just a whole ass rifle. I'm like, what?
Keep it, man.
It's like, oh yeah.
Like Conor, she's packing heat right now. Like,
right?
Conor, we will never forget Popsy's name ever again, will we?
No, we won't.
Well, so
she's great.
Put a pin in that conversation.
Also because we got it wrong on the Dragon Con qualifying exam.
That's whatever.
What was that planet? Hey, Jared, if you're still in the chat, what was that planet? What was the one?
That one planet where that one thing happened.
Yeah.
Where
with Kylo and Luke. Before Kylo was Kylo with Ben. Anyway. But speaking of first canon appearances with Kybuck and everything, we're gonna put a pin in that. But Conor, favorite moments. You kind of already started this conversation for us, but is there anything that stands out of just like this I could watch on repeat? This I love.
Honestly, probably just Shakti just being an absolute queen. in her like attempted rescue of Palpatine on Coruscant. Like that's just such a great sequence.
Yep.
And
All the
especially
train stuff,
especially when she's taken on Magna Guards.
Yes.
Like Magna Guards are fucking awesome. They are a formidable and just wonderful enemy for any Jedi to go up against, and I think are a really good test for any Jedi. And just Shakti just absolutely bodies them.
Yeah.
And it's just
Several
the
of
greatest
them.
thing ever.
Oh yeah. Like Obi-Wan has trouble with one of them in Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
She was like old Leku or whatever.
What other let's see, what other moments?
I can go if you're thinking still, Connor.
No, yeah, I can't think of anything other than ARC
Hey, all you need is Shakti. I love Shakti.
Yeah.
What about you, Eli?
Oh, wait. And
Okay.
probably the
All right.
lead up to the Anakin Ventress fight. For some reason, the clone troopers getting tossed around like rag dolls just always stood out to me.
I still love the one, and I like sometimes when I'm having a bad day, my brain knows it and it pulls the file for me. The one that's like boomeranging across the screen. I love it because I think that's the one before Anakin's like, something's not right. You think?
Isn't this?
Gee, I wonder.
Right, like
The Force is
What's
trying to
going
tell us.
on?
It's just like people don't move like that. I love that. Ventress is sadistic.
Love her.
Eli, what about you for some of your favorite moments?
I mean, frankly, and I'm looking at I'm looking at, just so I get this right, the freaking Wikipedia pages on all this. I forget exactly which one it is. I think it's actually it's the final one of season 2, chapter 20. That entire segment on Hypori.
Oh, yeah.
The Hypori sequence with General Grievous is unforgettable, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
It is unforgettable. Say all you want about his portrayal specifically. I know he gets a lot of crap in the Clone Wars about Grievous. And I understand quite a bit of that. And there are some people who I know who aren't big fans of General Rosen. But they are, how do I say it wrong? And this series is basically this series for me is what the tragedy was for Boba Fett for General Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
This is the craziest, grandest. This is why General Grievous was feared all across the galaxy. This is why you don't go up against him without a good plan. And even if you have a good plan, that is not a guaranteed chance at all for survival.
Exactly.
My
Dude's
favorite
an absolute menace.
Yeah, my favorite moment from exactly from that episode is absolutely I mean, poor Shaggy. I'll just say that poor Shaggy.
He could suck it.
but I freaking love how Grievous kills him. He runs out and he stomps on him. He stomps on him and he dies. That is the most over the top.
Let you know out the gate, like nobody's safe. This is getting real fast.
He did not even have to pull out a weapon. He didn't have to pull out a weapon. He did not have to. He literally jumped down.
And like that is one of those moments. Like you can only do that in animation.
Yeah,
like there's
really
no, like
You cannot do that in live action. It would be almost impossible, I would say.
It'd be squishy.
Well, like,
I'd say like you probably could do it with some special effects, but those special effects were only developed in the last few years. Probably.
No. I mean, like morally, like.
Oh
True.
yeah,
You'd have to actually kill a guy.
Yeah, no, right. Yes, there's no CGI. They actually actual people were harmed in the making of these movies.
Horror fans tell me that CGI is bad. So
like you see something like that in a cartoon, it's just like, oh, no blood and guts, he's gone. But like in if something like that happened in episode 3 or whatnot, it's just like, oh, that's a little gruesome for our children's space opera.
You can make it black and white. That's a way around it.
Yeah.
Yes, we could pull the Quentin Tarantino. Yes.
Yeah. Revenge of the Sith was the first PG-13 rated
Yes, it
Star
was.
Wars movie. So like, I'm not sure what you can get away with in PG-13, but like more than
They push the boundaries
PG,
every
more
day.
than G.
Apparently
So,
immolation.
For sure.
yeah.
I just remembered another really cool moment. It was like the first space battle that we see in like early on, and Anakin's flying his ship, and I want to say, and like he's leading a bunch of tractor beam missiles. I don't know what the hell tracking missiles.
Yeah.
And like I can visualize it, but I can't like describe it. In space, he's like leading them like a pack of wolves. No, it's like and he like does this maneuver where he goes up past like a frigate, and then like as all the separatist ships are coming towards him, they get intercepted by the missiles and just get blown up.
Yes,
it's something that's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Stuck with me.
Well, I know way back we talked about this early on because one of the first series we did on the podcast was a Clone Wars rewatch. And
don't go back and listen to it.
And I was adamant, like before we talk about 2008 Clone Wars, like we need to experience and talk about this. Number one, because I felt like by that time, you know, that like Clone Wars had ended. It was the thing, and I felt like that overshadowed 2003's micro series. So it's like, let's talk about that and everything. Yeah. And we spent a lot of time talking about the flight scenes, like the flying, like all of beautiful. That. They really put a lot of attention to detail, and it's those things I think of just personally. Because really, in the movies and in even the Clone Wars show, we haven't gotten anything quite like that adds constitution to Obi-Wan's comment about, you know, one of the best star pilots in the galaxy. You know, like this shows off Anakin in a lot of ways. I feel like, you know, keeping him, even when it's not about him, very much a main character, which was very, very a good choice, I think. So I'm a big fan of that and the Battle of Coruscant space battles as well, mostly because in the Battle of Coruscant, we get Sassine 10 leading clone troopers in a takeover of a ship. Like they jump from one ship to another in space and take it over. And that's just so one of the coolest things you could possibly do. And honestly, took a character that died in 3 seconds in Revenge of the Sith and made them cool.
That's what Star Wars is good at.
Oh, for sure. Like, oh, you think they look cool? We're going to make them cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to Gindi for that. I mean, Shakti is the same way. Like Shakti was a council member character that had a pose scene in Attack of the Clones.
She's always been cool.
Oh, yeah. And they've taken that and like elevated it. It's just like, oh, she's one of literally the most capable Jedi in this series, for sure. So I could ramble on, but Boop, what are some of your favorite Clone Wars moments?
So the first time we rewatched this, there was a very particular scene that jumped out to me, and it still jumps out to me this day, makes me giggle like an absolute fool. But we
already mentioned Shagai.
I know.
Okay.
The Coliseum scene.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With Ventress.
So hang on.
Being led into.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it's not what you think. It's nothing of what you think about the Coliseum.
So.
Because this is Boop after all.
Dooku's being led in by this dude, and he's got the doofiest face you've ever seen. And that makes me laugh every single time when he's just like, ah, look at that. We got a.
Oh wait, that like advisor looking dude? Or
yep, that guy. Yeah. He's my favorite.
Goofiest smile. Like I think it's Eli. You've got the Wikipedia. I think it's chapter 3, maybe 4.
Just look up a picture of that dude's face. It was my avatar in Discord for a very long time.
Yeah, what I love is the moment before that, like when Dooku shows up to Rat Attack, and like
I forgot that was the name of the planet.
The guy's like speaking like a whole other language, and he's just like, yeah, he's just wooby wooby woo, wooby wooby woo, wooby 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 woo woo, and then all Dooku says is, "Indeed." I'm like, What? What is that exchange?
Oh yeah,
It's
it was
amazing.
posted on Crazy Ass Star Wars Moments.
Of
Yes.
course it was. Yeah.
Very
It's just like,
recently.
that is the most like
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
understand what you said, but I'm not gonna ask
Are
again.
you looking at him right now?
I just found him.
Do you see his face?
Yeah.
I do. The best part about it is, do you know what his name is?
No.
What's his name?
He doesn't have one.
A Star Wars character without a name?
His
Oh
name
my
is
gosh.
Whoop.
Yeah.
His name is Woo.
His name is Whoop Whoop.
Literally, it says unidentified henchman, the Cauldron.
Nice. He doesn't even get a name.
Maybe he is the cauldron.
You know what? That's probably what he was doing, is introducing himself, and he just didn't get subtitles.
Probably.
But
My name's Kyle. I work in HR.
right. But speaking of like that, the Ventress
Oh,
introduction.
it's great.
Yeah.
Dude, his
Um,
the freaking top, the freaking like hood.
It's so good.
It's so big. It's so unnecessarily big. I love it.
It's the top hat of the Star Wars universe. Let's be real.
Yep.
But yeah, all of Dooku's stuff is absolutely fantastic. They don't quite capture his regal fighting style, which is meh, but that's fine. We get that much later. Also, I'd like to point out that all of the 3D animation in the show looks way better than Season 1 Clone Wars.
Wow.
Hot take,
Okay.
but we'll
Hot
take
take. I love Clone Wars deeply within my soul, but it looks like hot garbage.
Again, and here's the thing. It does look like that, I will say, compared to season 7 and Bad Batch.
Yes.
Oh
which is
yeah, like
sublime.
yeah, like I feel like it was all acceptable. Like I remember watching the movie in theaters in 2008 and being like,
Can't imagine that on a big
wow.
screen.
You know, like I remember enjoying everything, and it's only as time went on that was like, wait a minute,
This is some PS2 graphics.
yeah, this was a rough start. Like when literally a PlayStation 2 game perfectly captures your episode animation in Clone Wars Republic Heroes. Shout out to the 2 people that played that on PlayStation 2. Like it looks like an episode of Clone Wars, and that's not a compliment. Like it once we got to season 3, we really started to use the budget, and since then, you know, seeing things like Rebels, Bad Batch, Clone Wars season 7, all of these things happening, it's like, oh, this is what animation should look like.
What year did the PS2 come out?
The PlayStation 2 came out in 2003, right? No. So, I'm stupid. Came out in 2000. Had to, because Ratchet and Clank was 2002.
The PS2 is older than Eli.
Oh, I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
That's funny. Sorry. Because I remember getting a PS2 for Christmas. It was technically, you know, for all of us to get us out of our parents' hair.
I just looked it up, by the way. It's late 2000. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
2000,
Good God.
the year 2000.
22 years old. Good God.
Yeah, because I don't know why I said 2003.
Because we're talking.
I think because we're talking about the Clone Wars, but because all of my like pillar games, like with Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank and Spyro.
Good grief. All excellent games. So good. We really grew up in like the prime time of Sony gaming, didn't we?
I mean, I kind of feel like it. Yeah. But you know, we're nostalgic old people, so you know they just don't.
Dude, I'm nostalgic too. I literally watched like 3 videos last night of sounds/commercials 2000s kids will remember.
Oh my gosh, those things are the best.
Wow. And the one that is undoubtedly probably one of the best jingles I've ever, well, just one of the best just commercial songs I've ever heard is Education Connection. Like,
oh my God,
that is phenomenal. That has no right to be an
Network.
absolute fire song,
I need to check that
but
one
it
out.
is.
I thought you were talking about Roto Rooter for a minute, but
Connor literally, like, Connor and I get on a call together last night, and he's like, "Hey, do you know what Education Connection is?" And I'm like, "I know, I don't remember that."
Connor's out here preaching the gospel of Education Connection.
It's a wonderful song.
Similarly, I often one of my favorite Twitters is Toonami Memories, and it's just they just post Toonami promos constantly, and I'll just scroll, and it's promos for like Transformers, Armada, it's Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha, Naruto. It's like I just like just hearing Steve Blum's voice talking about like my favorite childhood shows. Like I like that. That's
Reminds me
nice.
of falling asleep on the couch and having to turn off the
Literally.
TV right before Adult Swim came on.
Literally. Oh no, I stayed up for
I
that.
wasn't allowed to.
Venture Brothers.
Squidbillies.
But anyway.
Anyway.
So Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So we put a pin in it, so we'll go ahead and come back to that. So I unwittingly mentioned Kai Buck, and apparently this was the premiere of him, and now he has since become canon, but other things and other characters have since become canon or re-canonized.
General Grievous.
General Grievous.
So on that point,
cool, like, General Grievous.
So a lot of this, I would say 90% of this show can be and I treat as canon. There's a lot of things not contradicted. There's a lot of things that, early on, Dave Filoni was actually trying to preserve.
It's canon until it's said not.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments later, like season 4 and 5 with Clone Wars, where he just outright does his own thing. But early on, he was trying to like treat that like we share this space, Gindi and I. But the 10%, the thing that never like works for me is General Grievous. Like it's two different characters. Absolutely. 2003 versus 2008. Like it's just different. And I like both. I want to put out there, so it's not.
You do? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, like they both have their merits and reasons I like each of them. It's just that they're not the same. And
I can't say I like both. I quite like 03. 08 often doesn't work for me. And I love the Clone Wars. It's my favorite Star Wars television show, and I don't see that shit changing anytime soon.
Dang.
But I will say there was a show that was released this year that got pretty darn close.
She-Hulk,
and in case you're wondering, guys, no, it's not Andor. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That is a good one. Not She-Hulk, though.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, about Grievous. Yeah, there are like a few episodes in 08 Clone Wars where I feel like he's legitimately intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the Fortress Grievous one.
Yeah, Lair of Grievous is like the number one example.
Yeah, that.
And I'm sure if I could go through the list of the Clone Wars episodes again, I could find other ones. But really, that's the only one out of 100-something episodes that sticks out as one where Grievous is actually an intimidating threat.
Yeah, like of them, Lair of Grievous. I do like the Malevolence episodes. I like the one where he fights Tarple and the Gungans on Naboo.
He does do that.
He does do that. He loses that, by the way.
Oh yeah, but like but the thing is, like, Gungans were always the antithesis to droids. Like they had the EMP ball things, the boobas. Like it always felt right that they should defeat the droids because they've always built themselves up to be able to destroy the technology of their white oppressors. Oh, did I say that out loud? But
Star Wars isn't political.
No, it's not. It never has been. I will say, like, if it was just the Gungans, that would be funny, honestly. But like, even like, like, and this is my thing, and I'm not saying like, oh, she's too overpowered or anything like that. But like, even like,
even Ahsoka.
I was gonna say Ahsoka in season 5, she is like 16, and she very nearly beats him.
Yeah,
not just being treated by Anakin Skywalker too. Oh, absolutely, it's important to remember.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So my okay. Hang on. All right. I don't want to because I could, and it's not like we could hash out General Grievous, but so yes, there like you said, there are a handful in the mini episodes of Clone Wars 2008 where it comes to a shadow of what 2003 does in like 5 minutes. So like. That said, I do prefer the scary, evil, like
the lurky boy,
unbeatable, seemingly unbeatable, Grievous that we get in the micro series for sure. But there is less personality, and there are limits how you can use that character, but if he's always going to slay and win and
absolutely
all that. So
yeah,
here's my thing actually. That's a good point, which is the one thing I like about 08 Clone Wars Grievous.
There's
better.
only so much of absolute monster
Yeah.
of a killing machine can do. As a
yeah.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, one of the only thing I like about 08 Clone Wars more is the voice, because it's not Matt Wood in 2003 Clone Wars.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't line up at all.
And he does these like long soliloquies about prepare yourself, Jedi. You are about to leave this world. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
no.
he's super poetic, and that run, Jedi, run. You have only prolonged. Like, okay,
I'm like, no.
It's like,
yeah.
Well, yeah,
I'm like,
they went completely off of. All right, here's a picture of here's a picture of the villain we're thinking about for episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Do with that what you will. He's a robot, but he doesn't like being called a robot.
Flannel.
Like they literally got.
I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, they got the image and like 3 notes, and Gindi made his own character from the limited information. Clearly,
so cool.
And it does win, but obviously it doesn't connect, and that's fine, like in chapter 20 with Hypori, but when you get to the moment where they capture the Chancellor, like, okay, he definitely doesn't look like he should look, and I know this is a stylized show, but everybody else kind of looks like they should look, so it's like that. How does that become that in episode 3? So it's like there is the misalignment there and everything, but if you just want to watch General Grievous be cool, if you're ever like, I wish he would stop running away and do something.
2003
do that, or read the Dark Horse Clone Wars Republic comics, because
absolutely
those are very good too.
And I was gonna say, like, even in those stuff, like in chapter 20 on Hypori, Grievous takes on like 6 Jedi at once, 3 of whom are on the council.
Right.
He kills like half of them. In the
that would be 3.
Yeah.
He's making a point.
In the Dark Horse comics, he kills Master Adigalia.
Yep.
I remember as one of his significant kills, and I know that because they handed that in the Clone Wars to Savage freaking Opress.
Which I did like, though.
Yeah, Adigalia didn't deserve to get killed that way.
The way that
this is what I'm talking about.
It was pretty metal, though.
Zabrak horns for the win, though.
Yeah, but like she got killed by Savage Opress.
He had to
one
do
of the coolest
something.
characters ever, man. Shut up.
He had to do something in
no
the
universe.
He had to.
Am I alone in my love of Savage Opress here?
No, I'm with you. If Grievous had equally cool big Jedi hunting moments, it wouldn't matter. It's just that he got none, and Savage literally got one more. Like the almost
the way that he did it, though, just like
actually, Savage got even more than that because of the whole massacre at the Devrin Temple, which I will admit is pretty cool.
In the show, I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to send the nerds on the hunt for this. I'm pretty sure Savage kills more Jedi than Grievous does in the Clone Wars series.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Because even when he gets close with Eve Koth,
yeah,
when he doesn't even get Eve Koth. He kills Nadar Veb.
That's the big one. He kills a Padawan.
Right. And a Padawan who messed himself up.
Yeah, a Padawan who basically just committed suicide. He rushed into that way too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now I will say, 2008 Grievous, that lines up with how quickly Obi-Wan was able to dispatch him, because they're all like, "Oh, a master needs to take him on." But Obi-Wan cut his 3 out of 4 hands off in a minute.
It's true.
Yeah.
He did do that.
Although I will say, Legends gives a lot of justification, and I really like the justification they give, that Obi-Wan was exactly the right Jedi they needed to take on Grievous.
Oh, for sure.
Even if other Jedi were more powerful, Obi-Wan had the exact right skill set that they needed for Grievous.
But I think the 2003 series or the 2008 series basically just says, if you can manage not to let him escape, you can win.
There are some
'Cause
rules to Grievous. Number one,
That's
he
it.
must run away because he has to be in the sequel. Number two, he and Anakin never the twain
Never
shall
meet.
Yeah.
Never meet.
That
Oh,
was
by the
one
way,
of
that
my
one
favorite
line.
things ever. I
Did
love
I-
that they did that.
Did I mention, by the way, the fact this is fantastic? I just realized this one. He never kills another Jedi with a lightsaber in the 08 Clone Wars.
That is true.
Because he doesn't kill Nadar Vev with a lightsaber.
They
It's with a
blast him.
blaster.
Yep.
And then he captures Eth Koth. He captures the Jedi Council member. But even that, we see in like the first 5 minutes of that episode, he didn't really defeat him.
No, it
The
was his
Magna
Magna
Guards
Guard.
tired him out, and then
Yep.
Grievous Grievous defeated, not even killed, but defeated a worn out D tier Jedi Council member in this.
Whoa.
I mean, facts.
Hot
So
takes.
there's a reason he was replaced by Ajahn Kolar. But yes, so 2003.
That's a great idea.
It
Let's
looks
get Eth Koth
like
and let's replace him with a worse Jedi.
okay. There was
The
there
first
was
one to
a
die.
quote unquote list of deaths wiki, and I looked up Savage and I looked up Grievous.
Yeah.
It looks like Grievous killed no Jedi in 2008 Clone Wars for
Hold
some
on a second.
I could be-
Nadarvan?
I
Not
like. I don't
Let's
know,
give
maybe
him
the-
Nadarvan. Let's give him
Yeah.
Nadarvan.
Okay.
Let's give him
One-
one.
We know what. Yes, we
know for a
agree
fact
one.
Okay,
We
yeah,
agree
one.
one.
And Savage killed 3. It was those 2.
Halsey, Knox, and Adigalia. Yeah.
Yeah,
feel
it
like
was
this
those
is
2 dudes and
incorrect
Nadigalia.
count.
But like also, I just
I
kind of
could be missing Jedi that
So,
Grievous killed, but
It's
Yeah.
most definitely wrong, so don't quote me on this.
Get dead meat on here
See,
right now.
yeah, that's them's the kill count. Like so. Yes, I understand being frustrated with Grievous by comparison because
Yes.
other characters got better.
He's just got a
like-
cape and space bronchitis.
He got all of the coolness in 2003. I think like Dirge, really cool, then gone.
Oh.
Ventress, really cool, then gone.
Yeah.
Both characters that were brought in by Gindi and his team for this series and have become, well, at least Ventress, a mainstay
Mhm.
in all following media, comics, books, and the 2008 series, where she just shows up. No introduction, by the way.
You don't need one.
in the film,
Yeah.
yeah. She's just
Yeah.
Dooku's apprentice, who's an assassin. Yeah.
It's like,
Uh,
okay, all right, you're here.
That's the thing actually about 2003 Clone Wars that's really interesting. They make their villains incredibly epic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And here's the thing, like they do that to Grievous, and they do that with Ventress, they do that with Dirge, they do that with quite a lot of people. And they're I know they don't make Grievous as cool as I might have wanted him to be in 08 Clone Wars, but it's not like 08 Clone Wars doesn't have its interesting villains either. Like,
Oh yeah.
again, basically I think about it like we sacrificed Cool Grievous to get Mother Talzin, for example.
Yes, we did. That
For
is a
sure.
great
So
trade.
1000 Pre-Vizsla.
I will
Pre-Vizsla.
take that deal.
Yeah.
Maul.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Fucking
baby.
Maul.
I'm a head out. No, I'm joking.
Get back in here.
I'm not
So-
a fan of the precedent it's set, but like, god damn it, Maul's such an interesting character.
Um,
so that's
We
where
can't
I
get started on
that's
Maul,
where I
though.
So-
We cannot. No,
We'll go another
the stream
hour.
will blow up.
So overall, we have, although
We
it's
have.
varying degrees between us, we have positive things, no matter how small they may be, about 2008 Grievous, but we definitely have an excess of great things
Yes.
for 2003 Grievous. Here's the thing: Star Wars gets villains right, and
Every
the,
single time.
the benefit
It
is
hits.
you can pick which one you want. Like I said,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
For me, I choose to believe that this Grievous still exists somewhere deep down in the carcass that is in the 2008
Very
series.
true.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
2003 Clone Wars honestly feels like a very just word of mouth, passed down the lane type stories that are just told in the galaxy.
Oh, by the way, did I mention I looked up?
like that's the way I look at it.
I feel like I was
Live in
looking up
history.
the 08 Clone Wars a while ago for some reason.
Mhm.
Literally, like the third line, it says Lucas called the 08 Clone Wars a continuation of the previous Genndy Tartakovsky produced 2003 Clone Wars series.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, so the whole thing, like I joke about it, but like the whole thing with Ventress showing up in Cat and Mouse, like she just pops in because it's been 5 years. You're expected to remember, oh yeah, that evil assassin introduced us in that series.
She was that woman in The Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was meant to connect, and Dave treated it like that, where he didn't necessarily set out like, I'm going to follow up on Genndy's work, but he didn't set out to undo Genndy's work. And I always early on appreciated that, because it felt like it got to be that. It felt like if you were there for the original series and for this, you could enjoy both. They're just different tellings, kind of like Conor was saying. Like, they're definitely different, but they can coexist. Yeah. And again, if you want to work it, like if you lube it up, it'll all fit fairly well together.
Did you really say that?
We're gonna just breeze past it. Don't acknowledge it, or else it's gonna.
Except for the Nilvanian stuff, it all pretty much works.
Yeah,
and it's just a damn fine cartoon. Like, if you watch it, if you're a Star Wars fan or you're an animation fan of like Genndy's previous work, it's just really cool looking.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal.
It just looks great. I also just was reminded that Dirge, my beloved Dirge, is canon.
Yes, he is. He was recently earlier this year, I think, actually.
So let me just say, like, this is what I've taken away from this. So Dr. Aphra reintroduced Dirge to the canon. Like the 2020 run, Alyssa Wong did that. Greg Pak introduced Ochi back in to the main fold. What I'm trying to say is, whatever these 2020 comic runs writers have done, like, they need to keep doing it. They're just introducing great ideas after great. I was talking to Conor about this. Like, we just got news about like the next stuff of the Vader comic. The next stuff of the next arc of the Vader comic is of Greg Pak's Vader comic. It's just so crazy. It's hilarious. So hear me out on this, okay?
Yeah.
So there's this guy named Jewel Tambor. Jewel is the grandson of Emir Wat Tambor.
Amazing. Love that.
And Vader, of course, 20 years prior around, slayed his grandfather.
Yes.
And he wants revenge.
Oh, that's awesome.
He starts like establishing his own like forces, and basically it looks like, again, we don't know because the comics haven't come out yet, but like the premise looks to be like Vader has to probably with Ochi and Sabe take on Jewel Tambor's pirate forces.
I love that.
That's sick.
Speaking,
I love a generational like.
Yes. Speaking of,
Wat Tambor fucks.
That is literally. So Conor and I were talking.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
So Conor and I'm only doing this to
you mentioned it, Eli.
Yeah, I was the one who mentioned. So I was like, I said, Jewel Tambor is Wat Tambor's grandson, and that implies that Wat Tambor had to get laid sometime. And then I said that, and then I thought about it for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh dear God.
I'm pretty sure they use some like scientific like egg beater thing going on, because like there's no way their society like
I don't know where where any of their things are. They're all hidden behind that cloak.
They just float. They don't even walk. They float. Watch them in the Clone Wars and in Bad Batch and all that. Like, they float. Okay. There's some Pennywise stuff going on.
Whatever you do, don't think about Operensis and how a species procreates.
Speaking of,
I was gonna say actually about the Jewel Tambor, that reminded me of another Rise of Skywalker reference that I'm surprised nobody made. I would have loved to see Vader telling Jewel, "Your father was the son of Wat Tambor." That's right. You're a Tambor. You're related.
Your power is his power.
It's the
power of the Techno Union.
It's the power of the Techno Union to drop the sickest beats in the galaxy.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It sounds like a band
Union
name.
sounds like the best band name I've ever heard in my life.
For
Have
sure.
you seen the video, the meme of that? It's fantastic. It's
Yes.
okay.
It's
I was
so
about to, yeah.
good.
I love it so much. Fantastic. If any of you have not seen the Techno Union techno music video,
It's so good.
and my favorite part is Watts
yourself a
adjusting the
favor.
dial.
Yeah.
Adjusting the dial on his thing. And
Just
it's
don't
like
touch
probably,
the dial.
it's probably it's probably like to depressurize
How
his
they
suit or
play
something.
it?
Probably.
Don't touch the dial.
Probably.
Well, it's to
that scene-
depressurize his suit or something like that. But
Something
like
that.
it could totally looks like a volume knob. So
Exactly.
For sure.
That's what I thought it was.
Well, that's the thing
For
is
the
it's just
longest
like
time.
that boardroom scene is the weirdest thing. It's just it's like just don't touch it.
There's
Like,
barely any English being spoken. You've got the Techno Union. You've got Poggle the
the
Lesser.
Techno Union.
He's like,
I do love that the 2003 series acknowledges very, very briefly in the background that the Techno Union is responsible for General Grievous, because
Very
that
true.
is
It is a
something
thing
that came
happens.
about
yeah.
in the novels. Actually, is revealed that the Techno Union rebuilt the broken Grievous after Count Dooku sabotaged his ship and then blamed it on Jedi. Like, one of the coolest backstories ever. Like,
That's so crazy.
I love the manipulation, the layers of deceit going on in that one.
Grievous's backstory in Legends is fantastic. I will say I think the banking clan had something to do with it, because I remember reading that comic, and the first face Grievous sees once he wakes up in the tank is Sandhill, who's the head of the banking clan.
Oh, you could be right.
I'm not saying the Techno Union has nothing to do with it. I'm saying I think also this just reminded me of a photo that I'm gonna now pull up on my phone, which I think, John, you will very much appreciate. This is from Anaheim Celebration earlier this year. There were so many great cosplays at Anaheim Celebration. Like, obviously, it's one of the best. You see so many great stuff, but there were some that I was very impressed by, and one of them was, here we go. I think you'll appreciate this. Can you see who this is?
Can you send it in the?
Oh, it's a uncyborged.
It's Quaman Gel Shalai. It's unrobot Grievous. It's pre-robot Grievous.
That's so cool.
And I was like, oh my god, there are 5 people here who know who this is. That's fantastic.
I thought it was the coolest thing back in the day, like circa 2005 Star Wars Legends figures, where they did a Kaleesh Warrior Grievous figure. And I was like losing my mind, almost as much as when they did a figure of shirtless Kit Fisto as well. Because,
that's fantastic.
That I love that both Clone Wars series 2003 and 2008 have given us shirtless Kit Fisto, because they know what the fans want. Fish.
And by the way,
abs.
that one part of Star Wars Clone Wars with that takes place on Mon Cala with Kit Fisto underwater, and the Mon Cala siding with the Republic, and then the Quarren siding with the Separatists and starting a civil war. That's the plot of the first arc of season 4 of the Clone Wars. You cannot tell me that there was no inspiration there. You cannot tell me that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, except 2003 Clone Wars thankfully didn't have Rift Hampson.
No, come on.
What's your problem with Rift Hampson?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. Maybe I have to rewatch the arc again, because the last time
yes, you do have to rewatch that arc. Do you come
Shut
from
up,
an
Hampson's
arc?
amazing.
Let me talk. For some reason, I don't know why, just like the first 20 minutes that we see with Riff, I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. And then like there was just something that like flipped the switch for me, where I was like, I can't stand this guy. But it wasn't like I couldn't stand him. It's just like he got mildly annoying for me.
You shark racist.
Shark racist.
That's what we've discovered. Look, I that's the thing. I will come for the throat over anybody who disses the Water War arc of Clone Wars. Like, that is.
Oh, it's a great arc. Yeah, it's a solid.
That
arc.
used to be my favorite arc of the Clone Wars, and even now it's like very high on there, probably higher than most people. I freaking love that arc.
It's a good arc. I appreciate the implications we get later on with Lee Char showing up again in the Vader comics and whatnot.
So good.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I appreciated that early era of like connecting the Clone War to the Imperial Galactic War. Like they still do it obviously, but early on they were very safe, and it's just like, all right, let's pull from these few things. Now we're bringing back Dirge, we're bringing in the Handmaidens, like we're doing a lot of crazy things now with comics. And so like one of the things for sure,
and I'm here for it.
People should be reading them. Like I preach all the time, like definitely like during this era, 2003, like really 2001 to 2005, like comics and books was where it was at, and it still is the place where the most stuff happens. Like the movies have boxes to check and things they have to deal with and resolve, whereas like the playground is so much bigger in books and comics.
Shame I can't read.
Like definitely should be in
you
there.
You can't read. Like
it's historically established that Boop cannot read.
It's lore.
It's their version of Bombad lore. I was just gonna say it.
It's true. Like multiple sources confirmed that Boop cannot read.
Multiple sources have confirmed. Yeah.
Michael, multiple sources confirmed. McClure.
Well, it's crazy to think.
I was gonna say Michael. Multiple sources, Mick confirmed.
Exactly.
Yes. Michael Mouthful McCoy.
Don't feed his ego with that.
Anyway.
Christ.
He's already been doing that enough today on Twitter with his stories and stuff like that, you know.
That's true.
Which Michael was on last week's show. So again, a shout out to him, and check out All Remaining Systems on YouTube for some good stuff. We're talking about
Ionized Bastards.
Yes. You've got the drama, you've got the hilarity. Michael does it all, and when we're talking about things that fill in the universe, Michael has a great creative mind for those things.
Michael McCoy.
If you're not satisfied with the comics, if you're not satisfied with the books, you will be satisfied with Michael McCoy or your money back.
Put that in your Bumble profile.
That's one way to put it.
He's like a Snickers. He really.
I have a story for after this.
Oh dear God.
So it's crazy to think about. So next year, this will be properly vintage, but pretty soon, it'll actually be the 20th anniversary of 2008 Clone Wars. Like that's upon us.
I don't like that.
Yeah, 6 years.
I don't like that either.
6 years. So time is a scary thing, but it just reminds us of how long we've had the things we love. And so it's good to look back and celebrate this nostalgic series and so many more. And so
speaking of anniversaries coming up, everybody, happy 3 year anniversary to the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yes.
5-year anniversary. Oh, and Pink Milk.
Yes.
5-year anniversary to The Last Jedi.
Good God.
And 7-year anniversary to The Force Awakens.
Yep.
We've been married for 8 years.
Yep. And like new Star Wars is no longer new.
No,
it's not.
And so
also,
if you're
actually, as of tomorrow, this is the craziest one. As of tomorrow, literally tomorrow, happy 3-year anniversary to The Mandalorian.
Oh, good God.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is freaking crazy. I remember specifically coming home from school that day, and this was the day that Disney Plus launched, of course, as well.
Yeah.
And and just watching those opening scenes. This was the first ever live action Star Wars television ever.
We were watching that on the way to work. Like, had it pulled up on our phone in the car on the drive to work. It's like, we can't miss this. This is so. This was
regarding that. This is a funny story with that. I actually got a big spoiler for that without knowing it was big spoiler.
No.
So
really?
I knew about the kid. I knew about the kid, but I thought I'd seen an image online of the kid, but I thought while walking somewhere, the Mandalorian was gonna walk by a baby version of Yoda's. Like, it was just gonna be a quick cameo.
Not that he was gonna be in the show.
And then we were gonna, and then we get to the end, and he opens it. I'm like, oh, that's where he fits in. Oh my God.
So yeah, new Star Wars isn't new anymore. So
Nope.
vintage is where it's at, and
This
I
is
encourage
definitely not new.
anyone, if you haven't watched it since you were a kid or at all, Disney Plus has it. Thank God. It is preserved in
Thanks, Mothman.
high def for you. You don't have to watch 720p on YouTube anymore.
Not anymore.
You don't
baby.
have to watch.
So are all 3 seasons of the 80s cartoons, which
Very true.
which we are probably going to get into on In the Galaxy very soon.
Nice.
For
Neither
sure.
of us have seen them before, so we're going in
Ewoks is
completely
very
blind.
good. Ewoks
Yes.
is very good. I like.
We're probably
Ewoks.
not going to do Ewoks for a while because timeline that doesn't take place for a while. But Droids is actually quite next on our
Oh yeah.
radar.
Well,
Yeah.
droid. The art of droids actually inspired Gindi for this series, so it'll maybe feel a little familiar.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, before we close out, promos for anything you boys have coming up soon. The floor is yours. So Eli, obviously, you've got your sights set on some other things, but what's the next big thing for In a Galaxy?
Well, we just posted a new episode about a few hours ago with Keith
Ooh.
Irwin from Father Son Galaxy. We're posting weekly on In a Galaxy. Follow us on Twitter at In a Galaxy Pod. At OutChiefan327 is my personal Twitter. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. And I will also promote, and Connor, you're welcome because you don't have to do this. Star Wars In a Galaxy Epic Confrontations. It's coming back. We are recording our next episode this weekend.
Nice.
It will premiere in about a week or so. Buck O'Brien versus Jerry the Cannon Junkie. We're very excited. We have it all written, and I'm hyped to see what happens. This is the first. I think this is the first match. Yeah, this is the first match with all 3 of our main writers on the team. We got a new writer on the team this month, and I'm excited now to have that like a well-oiled machine going. So
epic indeed. Very nice. Very nice. Well, anything left for you, Connor, oh boy, oh pal?
You can find me on Twitter at Death of Banana. I'll plug it because Twitter seems to be slowly going down. Instagram, you can find me at ConmanJFO. I really don't use it that much, but if you need to contact me somewhere, that's a good place. You can find me. I co-host 2 Star Wars podcasts. The Nerd Academy podcast, our Star Wars show, is Knights in the Nerd Republic, and For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. Check them out. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever. And I help write Star Wars fan fiction on sweditor.ig.com/fiction. I work with a wonderful team of just great people. I have a few stories in development, but one I can't talk about right now is The Hidden Kyber. It is set shortly after the events of Jedi Fallen Order. One of my favorite Star Wars stories, is pretty much everyone knows. Yeah, you wouldn't. It's not hard to figure out.
You would not guess.
And it stars Seer Junda and Cal Kestis, and it comes out December.
Nice.
Yeah, I think December.
Excited for that.
I was gonna say you've been promoting it for a long time. I've been excited to actually read it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
So
excited to release it whenever I do.
check out all of those things and look to the horizons for the rest. And there's also all the lovely links in the description below for us, as well as some charities and all that good stuff. So be sure to read the description while the epic music plays at the end of this.
Might be a picture of a possum. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know what you'll find down there, so look every time. We are back next week, not with Star Wars, though. We're taking a break to talk about one of my favorite video games ever that's also now eligible to drink. Halo
Clapping
officially
party.
turns 21 this year. And so
Not Barbie's Dreamhouse Adventure?
we'll be celebrating that with some good friends of ours. And Boop will be there too.
I'll be there too. I've heard of this Halo stuff.
Yes. We did a whole. Well, I did a not
was
so
there.
brief summary of a lot of the Halo lore.
But it's okay because I also summarized the Zelda timeline like
Yeah.
a week later.
For sure. So we got each other back with the dense lore. So
True.
look forward to being live next Friday for that. Then we have a break for Thanksgiving, and we'll be back with something pretty epic. I will
Yes.
say, if I had to give it a name, it would be, dang it, what's the mountain?
Which one?
What's
There's
never mind.
so many mountains.
Mount
So
Yoda.
many
I
mountains.
don't know, not the talking mountain.
No, not Mount Yoda.
Not
That's
the
Mount
talking
Sorrow.
It's never gonna be Mount Sorrow.
Well, anyway, you'll just have to stay tuned. We'll talk about it. If you've been paying attention to Twitter, you actually might already know. But nonetheless, back next week, and looking forward to that. But until then, everybody, stay scruffy.
Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.